Hi, Amy.
Abby.
Last night was Before the 90 Days, Season 7, Episode 9. Yay.
9.
And our bonus content tonight will be for The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 17. One brief reminder before we get started. If you prefer to watch our podcast, please do so. Head on over to YouTube, look for our channel at 90 Day Fiancé Honestly, and please subscribe to our podcast as well as our channel if you can. Thank you.
Please.
Now, let's see if we can sort through the tangled up spaghetti mess that was last night's episode. Starting with Vanya and Bozo. 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 I still can't. I can't with his name. It's so hard.
I'm going with Bozo.
Okay. You say his name whenever we need to say his name. And I just want to give credit where credit is due. You were absolutely right. I rewatched a little portion of last week's episode because remember we were talking about how Vanya had been or maybe had been about to go or had actually gone to Croatia before, but then it turned out that, say his name,
Bozo.
Okay, thank you, had rekindled a romance with an ex-girlfriend. You're correct. She was planning a trip and she stopped planning the trip because of his bad news.
Thank you for confirming that.
An added layer of yuckiness to her sad story. So we pick up where we left off last week. She's missed her flight, her connection through Frankfurt to split, but now she's going to be finally on the plane. And meanwhile, while she's waiting, she tries to call, what's his name?
Bozo.
Once again. And yay, he answers the phone.
And he's so nonchalant about it.
I know.
No apologies, no nothing. But she also doesn't call him out, or at least we don't see her call him out on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely confident that conversation didn't happen.
I'm not entirely confident that he is taking this as seriously as she is. She really seems to be invested, and he not so sure that he thinks that this is as serious a situation as she does.
It's kind of like a Corona and Inky thing, but I feel like they both know that it's not a thing, so they're just playing into it. Whereas with Vanya and Bozo, it's Vanya's into it and Bojo's just along for the ride.
Yes. I would have said that unlike Corona and Inky, this is not a scripted, like the two of them having scripted it together and just said, let's do this for kicks.
Yeah.
Vanya's for real. Bozo is for real, but her feelings are definitely stronger than his. The way that she gets so emotional over the fact that he doesn't answer the phone when she was texting him and trying to contact him over the last 24 hours is so extreme. It seems like she's already emotionally dependent on him, and whether he responds to her or not and how he responds to her affects how she feels and how good she feels about the relationship. So she is very clearly invested and he is not so much.
He's got a foot in, possibly a foot out.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure which way he's going.
I'm not either. And I feel really badly because Vanya seems to be sweet and innocent.
She seems so sweet.
Yeah, she has a good heart. And what is she walking into? We don't quite know yet. We don't have all the details, but from what we've seen so far, it seems perhaps like she is going to be sorely disappointed and heartbroken.
That was going to be my word. Disappointment.
Yeah. Disappointment in the choice of foliage that he decides to bring to the airport for her as a gift when she arrives.
Yes.
Traditionally, one would expect flowers of some sort, but this is a plant. Very sad-looking plant.
That he picked up out of the garbage. Would you think it's a good idea to gift someone who's arriving at the airport a potted plant that they cannot take back home?
Exactly.
And it's a lily. So if she has cats, she can't have it in the house anyway.
Nope.
She's supposed to carry it on the plane. That's her carry-on.
I know. And the way that she loves everything about Bozo, it would seem like she would want to do that. She'll probably bring it back to the US with her, provided things go well, of course. Yeah, I thought it was very sad that he decided to bring her this stupid little plant, this sad little scraggly plant.
But why did his mom nor his aunt not say anything?
Because they idolize him and nothing he does can be wrong.
The
'Cause he's
golden child.
exactly golden boy, golden child, can do no wrong. So scraggly plant it is. It's an absolutely perfect gift. Let's go to the airport and pick up Vanya. They have
There is no incoming call.
Thank you.
Was that Alexa?
Yeah, she's talking to me. I don't know why. I didn't say her name. Okay. I don't want to say thank you again because she's going to probably say, "You're welcome. You're most welcome." Let's continue. He gives her a very lovely hug at the airport. They have this lovely embrace. And I was hopeful in that moment that things might go well. What did you think?
I thought it was very lackluster. Again, I feel like she's so much more excited about it than he is. And then it's like, let's have this lovely embrace while I'm holding this potted plant as the gift that is in the way of our hug and greeting. And also, you can't take home. It's so weird.
It was. And the way that the camera crew kept focusing in on the plant while they were hugging was quite funny. So clearly they saw it as well as we saw it. That is this awkward moment. The hug is nice. The plant in the background is weird.
I think it's.
And then what's even more strange is that he has arranged for them to attend a cooking class immediately.
As soon as she lands.
Yes. And good for her. She's such a good sport. She says, yes, absolutely, let's go. However, his attitude during the cooking class is really not the best. Again, disappointment was the word that came to mind. It's nice that he chose this different kind of date for them to go to. I'm not sure that the timing was exactly the best. But then what was even worse was when they were all speaking with the other cooking class students and they said, what is your relationship? What are you guys? And he said, this is my good friend, Vanya. Ouch. Like we've all been there, right?
They had that conversation though.
She's come all the way. He was just explaining in the car how amazing it is that she's flown all the way from the US, how blessed he should feel that she's chosen him to come and visit, spend these 3 weeks with. And yet the first thing, okay, you've got this group of strangers around you just asking, so what is your relationship? And he decides to just say they're friends. Like, what have you got to lose by saying this beautiful woman has just come all the way from the United States to be with me. She's my girlfriend. You're never going to see them again. What difference does it make if you tell them she's your sister or your mother or your girlfriend? Who cares?
Or we're seeing each other.
Yeah. Or she's so beautiful and I'm so blessed that she's here, like he just said in the car. And maybe someday I hope to make her my girlfriend if she'll allow me to. Like, there's so many things that he could have said that were way, way nicer.
And then she was so, what is the word? Diplomatic, I guess, with her response, because she just kind of giggled about it and was like, oh, I wouldn't travel halfway around the world or travel this long just for a friend. Ha ha ha. But she didn't make a big deal out of it.
No, she didn't. She was really trying to hold it together.
Gracious.
Yes. Good word.
Classy.
Totally classy. Yes. Doesn't want to cause a scene. Doesn't want to bring it up, but is very, very obviously thinking about it and clearly hurt by those words. Because the way she looks at it, this is her boyfriend. And she even mentions a little bit later on, she hopes that she gets a proposal during this trip. So how can they possibly go from a friendship to an engagement within the space of 3 weeks? I guess stranger things have happened, but still, you would at least hope that this guy is smart enough to realize this is your opportunity to be kind to her and to show her that you're interested.
I find it very unfortunate because when we first met this couple, you and I we had high hopes.
We did.
and they are being siphoned from us very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, my hope is dwindling a little bit. I'm still really, really hoping. I'm still on her side. I'm rooting for Vanya. I hope that everything works out. But I can feel her disappointment when he says, "This is my good friend," rather than "This is my girlfriend." And like I said, we've all been there. We've all been in her shoes, although mine were not stilettos. Never, ever. And felt
Mine were, yes.
and felt that extreme disappointment of, I've gone through all this effort and I thought we were on the same page and we have established a connection, but now you're taking a step back at this critical time when all you have to do is just show me a little overture, a little kindness, let me in, and give space for a connection to even grow more. Nope, we're friends.
I don't think that's too much to ask in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, obviously, because we've been there, now is the time where she's going to turn it in on herself. And she's going to wonder, did she read into any of his words, his intentions, his behaviors? Did she make it up?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we're only going to find out the more that we read on, because we don't know what his true intentions are at this point, because it feels like what he's told his mom and his aunt are different than what he's told people in this cooking class. But who are they anyway? But also, who are they? So why do you have to lie? It's just confusing.
It got even more confusing when they got to her hotel. So she's staying in this hotel for the 3 weeks. He's staying, obviously, he lives with his mom and his sister, aunt.
With his mom.
His mommy.
And
okay.
How old is he again? Like,
he's 38. Okay, but he's also unemployed, so he can't afford to live on his own. We got to give him that.
No, I get it.
But
he's not homeless.
Okay, so she would like it if he would stay. She doesn't want to make it overt. She doesn't want to have to ask him, "Are you going to stay with me?" Obviously, because that's not romantic. And he's just said that we are only friends. So that's awkward. So she's clearly waiting for him to make an overture of, should I stay? Is there room for me? That kind of thing. And instead, because he doesn't do that, she offers, "Oh, you could stay on the couch if you wanted to." Weird, a little bit strange, doesn't feel good. And he brushes her off. "No, I'm going to go. Thank you." Eek.
Yike.
Yike. Uh-huh. Yeah. So have we completely misread the situation? Is Bozo just not that into her?
I don't know. Is he nervous? Is he apprehensive about finally leaving his ex behind?
Is it his Christian beliefs? Is it that won't allow him to stay overnight with her? Maybe.
No idea.
But I mean, it was obvious he didn't have a bag packed. It wasn't as if he had some overnight things with him to be able to stay at her place. So he wasn't planning on that.
So then
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like perhaps she has read in too much to his conversations with her and their interactions. Perhaps he really isn't that attracted to her. I just feel really bad. I got a sinking feeling. She's invested. He's not. She's going to fall flat on her face.
with disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Well, I'm glad you said please, because next is Rayne and Chidi. Oh, cry me a river. Cry me a river, Rayne. It's the worst day of your life because of Chidi's false faith. She actually has the audacity to say that his faith is false. Again, she knows more than all the people in the world, all the religious leaders, any holy book. She knows everything because she is in touch with powers that we cannot begin to understand. That sounds sane to me.
Powers.
Yeah, totally. Of course. I would believe somebody like her if she came up to me and told me she was in touch with demons and spirits. There's no evidence for it, but wouldn't you believe her?
I'd believe any word that comes out of her mouth.
Because she says them with such a tranquil and calm look in her eyes. Chicken lady.
I can't.
Okay, so here's my take on Renee. She
Okay.
is fully indoctrinated by her own paranoia, by her own conspiracy theories, and she is beyond any reason. There's no point in talking to her. There's no point in trying to make her see sense because she views the world her way. She's brainwashed herself to believe those things, to believe her own narrative. Her perception of what's real and what's not real is so completely wrapped up in her own sense of herself and what powers she has that she will never relinquish those beliefs or perceptions.
I think you're wrong.
Oh, please do correct me. I'm all ears.
I opened that with the intention of just dripping with sarcasm, but I couldn't keep it up. Honestly, like, this woman is so out to lunch. The way that she's so condescending and belittling, especially when she speaks about his religion. And she flew across the world to take advantage of this man so she could convince him of her holy ways or whatever that would be. And it's just so painful to watch because she's just so not grounded, to be diplomatic.
Untethered, I think, is the word.
Yes, thank you.
She is wild. She's blowing in the wind. She's free, but not in a good way, in a completely unpredictable, unreasonable, and unrelenting way that is very, very frightening. I don't know what she's capable of. That's what I find the most scary.
I think the fact that she's flown off the cuff on such seemingly minimal circumstances is very questionable.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when something compounds? How is she going to respond to that?
Well, we've seen her responses so far, like a couple of weeks ago when she was
far, but these are just some seemingly smallish issues. Anyway, just send her back home. My sweet Chidi. You don't need this.
Poor Chidi. Oh my gosh. He feels completely torn between his love of Renee, which I still can't understand why he feels so in love with her, but he does. So we got to respect that. Those are his feelings. And his love for his family. Because, of course, his family is everything to him. They've looked after him for his entire life. And he and his sister are very close.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he is almost forced into making a decision of choosing between Renee and his family by Renee herself puts him in an impossible situation. How are you supposed to make that choice?
I don't think it's an impossible situation. I think she's an impossible person. And now he has the perfect opportunity to get rid of her.
Well, I think Victoria has the right instincts in saying to Chidi, I'm just going to step out of the way. And she's completely generous and compassionate and selfless because she says, I'm going to get out of your way. You do what you like. Effectively allowing Chidi to make the biggest mistake of his life, which would be to go to Renee and to try to make things work with her, because he will end up in a whole heap of trouble, even bigger than we've already seen. That I am 1000% sure of. And he would learn from that so much, and he would come back to Victoria and say, thank you for doing that. And I've learned a lot, and I will never, ever make a mistake like that again. Really, really wonderful of her to do that, to offer that up.
I think that was the most lovely and most compassionate approach that she could have come up with. Mm-hmm. Though I also loved her husband, the brother-in-law, who was just like, what do you see in this woman?
Yeah.
What is going on here? What are we missing?
Yeah, his statement, the brother-in-law says he doesn't get it. He doesn't get why Chidi wants to get back together with Renee. And I was like, yep, amen to that. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. I do not understand how Chidi still thinks that it's a good idea to love this woman and to perhaps get back together with her. No, wrong. So then Chidi goes to talk to his friend Christian about what's happening. And he lets drop this bomb that I did not realize was going to be let go of during the course of the show, because what he describes is before Renee came over to Nigeria and he was just having a relationship with her over the phone and on video, she would yell and scream at him constantly. And even with all of that anger and all of that animosity and all of that just vitriol coming from Renee aimed at Chidi online and over the phone, he still wants to meet up with her because he is, I think, such a Christian person that he believes that there's good in everybody and that he's got to give them a chance. I don't know, just an opinion, but he clearly is not accepting the clear signs that Renee has given him. This is the person who she really is, Chidi. She's angry, she's resentful, she's mean, she's selfish, she's controlling. And he ignored all of those signs and decided to give her a chance anyway.
He seems to be the purest of heart and souls.
Yeah. So he does acknowledge that things are not working out between the two of them to Christian, which is good. I'm glad he can see that. But he also says that he still loves her. And then we switch back to Renee. Cringe. Did you want to vomit as soon as her selfie camera thing on the bed when she's wearing her pajamas? Oh my God. Somebody please help this woman. Okay, so she bought herself a sexy pair of pajamas.
I would like to put sexy in
quotations. Let's do that. Let's add some air quotes. This is what she intends to seduce Chidi with. It's so creepy. It's so cringe. She is out of her mind if she actually believes that just because she got a text from Chidi saying, I want to meet with you tomorrow, that this means that she's going to have a chance with him and she's going to be able to seduce him and bring her up to her hotel room and put on these pajamas. And please, no.
It's back on. Let's go.
She has been on a relentless pursuit of his private parts since before she even took off in the plane to come to Nigeria.
Such an entitled way.
Yeah, absolutely entitled. She does. She feels so entitled to his organs. Like, excuse me? It's gross. If it was the other way around, we say this all the time with 90 Day, if it was flipped so that the man was being the aggressor, the man was expecting sex, we would not stand for it. So same thing goes for her. No, I'm not standing for it. It's disgusting.
I agree.
Just, Renee, go out, buy yourself an adult toy, enjoy yourself with it, and leave Chidi alone.
How about you just go home? Go be with your chickens and your children.
And one last little note. When she mentioned one of the father of her children and how one day he just gave her a hug and disappeared and never came back, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Did it to you?
I laughed. And I was like, I wonder why.
No idea why that would have happened. That's so bizarre.
I can see her being fun for like a very, very short period of time. And, a guy could get excited about it. And then, bam, she's pregnant. And then he's like, no, I am effed. I shall take care of this child, but I need to put as much space between me and this woman as possible because she's not okay.
I think the term is batshit crazy. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Though I'm still not entirely sure what mental illness she's exhibiting. Well, but again, we're not doctors.
No, but while you ponder that, let's go talk to Tigerlily and Adnan, if that's okay.
I don't want to go there.
No.
I'd rather go there than stay where we are.
Of the two, I'll take Tigerlily over Renee any day, and that is not saying a lot. Okay, so we're back in the U.S. Tigerlily is getting her hair done yet again. This seems to be a daily occurrence for her. Whatever. I guess the mega rich can do that. She's going to go to Turkey very soon, the next day, in fact. And it's been about 6 weeks since she left Adnan in Jordan. So she's going to Turkey to go see him again. However, there is a slight issue. Adnan's rules are becoming problematic for Tigerlily. Surprise, surprise.
Okay, hold the phone for a second here. I was absolutely floored that Adnan has, turned on a dime and is now super controlling. And now she has to donate to her makeup artist. Is it the makeup artist that she dropped all of her clothes off to? Yes. Okay. Well, he hasn't specified, but I feel like he's not going to like any of this. So then there goes half of her closet, perhaps. I mean, that would be my entire closet based on those ball bags that she brought into the salon. But color me surprised that Adnan has become so controlling. No one called this.
No one. We didn't see it coming. It's out of the blue. He was so open and generous and accepting of her before and all of the things.
And considerate and
but the nice
very
thing is,
vocal about his boundaries.
The nice thing is that Tigerlily loves to be controlled. She's totally okay with giving all her clothes away. She's totally okay with finding female healthcare practitioners for her to see so that he's not upset by chiropractors and so on touching his wife for medical purposes.
Fear.
It's beyond. It's beyond. Like the fact that he can go on YouTube and find this absolutely atrocious video of this woman in these leggings, and the my chiropractor's never stood that close to me when he's done a hip adjustment. I'm sorry, but that was intentionally rude and intentionally made to look like it could be salacious. Yeah, inappropriate behavior. I'm sorry, but this, come on. And then he ends up in hospital. Adnan goes to the hospital because he's had such a hard time of accepting the fact that Tigerlily goes to see a male chiropractor. Give me a freaking break. It's a tantrum. It's a freaking teenage tantrum. Let's call it what it is.
There's so many other things that I want to call it, but we'll go with teenage tantrum.
Oh,
to go to the hospital. Did he actually, I want to see the hospital record before I actually acknowledge that that's a thing. I think he's just, what is that term? Crying wolf or something?
Yes, crying wolf or Munchausen syndrome, where you're pretending to be sick to get attention and sympathy. Yeah, I totally felt that too. I was like, well, did you actually see him in the hospital? Was there some video evidence that you were able to capture so that you knew for sure that he had to go there? And would they not have
a prescription of Ativan that they may or may not have given him because you went home and you're his source? Who said it? Sorry, I don't know if that's actually a thing, but
would they not have just laughed at him if he arrives at the hospital and says, oh, my wife is seeing a chiropractor for medical purposes? I must seek attention immediately because my eyes are red. And what was the other thing that he mentioned? It was just like his eyes went red. Like, take some eye drops? I don't know. Maybe breathe?
I mean, we do it all the time. I remind you. You remind me. Does he not have friends to remind them to do such things?
No.
It seems so absolutely ridiculous, but it's like he's playing on those random things that he knows is going to trigger her. He's in the hospital. What have I done? Let me get rid of half of my clothing because he's not going to appreciate it if I wore it in public again. Like, the thought process is just so disoriented and discombobulated.
Well, there seems to be some kind of a ridiculous contradiction in a man who is controlling of his wife.
And a child.
Well, and also a child. Yes, he is. But he's controlling of his wife, and yet he is so out of control of his own emotions that he ends up in the hospital because she goes to see a male chiropractor.
Or claims that he went to the hospital.
But you are in a position to be controlling of another human being, even though she is completely cogent and able to look after herself. And yet she tells you that she's been to see a chiropractor who happens to be a man, and you end up in the hospital because you have such a bad reaction. I do not understand this. How on earth is this man supposed to be the head of a household if he can't even keep it together for 5 freaking seconds when she says, I went to see my chiropractor?
I would like to hear other men from his religion and or culture weigh in on this.
Mm.
Do you think that this is an overreaction on his part, or is this par for the course?
Yeah, and I'd like to further ask, like, is it reasonable to expect your wife to change her healthcare practitioner on the basis of that practitioner's gender? And if they don't, if she doesn't change practitioners, if she continues to see a male dentist, for instance, is it then reasonable for you to have such a extreme reaction to that you end up in the hospital? Are you not able to control yourself? What is this?
Well, he can't control himself, which is why he has to control her.
Oh, wow.
This couple just really irritates the hell out of me.
Totally. And moreover, because the purpose of this trip to Turkey,
The baby making trip.
the baby, if she says, baby making, oh, one more time, I'm going to punch somebody in the face. I swear to God. Baby making. What? Why don't you just say, we're going to try to have a child? We would like to have a kid.
No, because she wants to brag that she's having sex with someone who's what, 22, 23, and she's what,
20
40?
years younger than her.
So she's what, 42, 43?
She's
Either way.
41, he's 22. Either way, just shut up, please.
It doesn't matter how old they are, but it makes it worse the fact that there is a 20-year age difference between the two of them, and she keeps going on about this whole baby making thing. Okay, yes, it is medically possible for you to get pregnant naturally at this age. However, you're still considered a geriatric pregnancy, and there are a lot of health risks that come along with it. Have you seen a doctor? Has he seen a doctor? What is this going to look like?
No. It's just
No.
baby making. But my primary objection to that is just that, again, we've mentioned this before, is the baby voice, the mousy voice, the put on affected tone, which
people online have been calling it the Kardashian voice.
Okay. I don't watch them, so I don't know what they sound like.
I don't either.
Let's go with that. The Kardashian voice, whatever that may be, is so affected and stupid and makes a woman seem like she's really, really dumb and incapable of a coherent thought. Why would you do that to yourself? Why do you want to put yourself out as a little baby child? Baby making.
I don't think she did it to herself.
Oh, please. I don't know.
I mean, I would be surprised if her natural voice actually sounds like that, but the words that are coming out of her mouth, I think, are legit coming from her brain.
Okay, let's assume that they are coming from her brain and she does have coherent thoughts. But as a 44-year-old woman, we're being optimistic here, looking at the positive. Okay. As a 41-year-old woman, why would you want to present yourself that way? Is it just because she has a 22-year-old husband and the women that are his peers are talking that way?
I have no idea.
Like brainless idiots?
I don't understand the allure to it.
Black bags of flesh?
I don't know.
Please. Get a life, people. Sorry. This really irritates me.
Please don't apologize. Retract your apology.
Consider it retracted.
There you are.
Thank you.
Your opinions are well received and very valid. So thank you for providing them.
Oh, I feel so much better now. Thank you. There is one final point. Again, one last little thing that I wanted to mention. Just this teeny tiny little point. The double standard yet again rears its lovely, ugly head. And we have Adnan posting half-naked, steamy photos online, while Tigerlily, of course, is not even allowed to wear anything without sleeves, or see a male chiropractor, or shake the hand of a male person, or be touched by her male hairdresser. The list goes on and on and on, but he can do this. And so she objects She says, delete it, which apparently is what he's been texting her whenever he's seen a photo that he does not approve of hers online. God bless her. She's been deleting them. Okay. He responds, oh, but that's fine. In Islam, it's okay for a man to be shirtless, so I'm not doing anything wrong. And she says, yes, but as your wife, I find it disrespectful. So please remove it.
And he says, as your husband, I feel you bringing it up is disrespectful to me, so I'm going to keep it up.
There is just, it's a circular argument, no way out, nobody wins, wow. And she chose this for herself. Let's just remind ourselves of that.
After getting out of a relationship that was super controlling, and she said she'll never be in another controlling relationship again. Look where we are now, sir.
Applause. Applause for Tigerlily on achieving a second exact relationship. Was that a violin? Are you playing a teeny tiny violin?
Yes.
Beautiful. I'm ready for Niles and Matilda. How about you?
I am not.
Shocking. Where would you like to go instead?
I don't want to talk about it because I feel like nothing's been resolved. It's just been bleeding in from last episode, which every episode is. But I really don't feel like we got anywhere until like the last 30 seconds. Like, why did you drag out 20 minutes of this? Well, I mean, we saw it last season or the season before where they dragged out so many different stories for so long. But this was just, we talked about this last week. I said, we haven't seen the rest of her reaction. We haven't seen the resolution of this conversation. I can't wait to see where it goes. And then it was like blue balls. She just kind of accepts it, which is great. I think it's wonderful. But I feel like they left us on a cliffhanger from last week. And then it was just all resolved so peacefully. And, you can tell that Niles is learning from his inability to communicate and his inability to understand social cues. He's learning, he's acknowledging, and he's apologizing. And now they're just moving on.
But wasn't it beautiful?
It was so nice in the last 5 minutes, but I didn't need the rest of it.
Okay, I'm just going to read over my notes for the beginning part. Yes, there was a lot of back and forth, and we got to see him giving his lies to her and
him being pedantic.
Yes.
I didn't say that specifically. There was an apostrophe in there somewhere.
Yes. What was the thing that he said? He said, he'd asked her, have you ever heard me say that I want to get married on this trip? Yes, exactly. Pedantic. Doesn't matter if you use those words or not. It was if the intention was conveyed to her, which it wasn't.
Yes.
And he finally admits to the fact that no, he didn't convey any of those truths to her over the phone before he got there, nor in the past 5 days that he's been in Ghana. So yeah, but the way that the resolution came about, I thought was just lovely. It was such a human moment where he says, look,
it's organic.
Yes, it was organic. It was real. And you and I always talk about this. The moments that we live for on 90 Day are the moments that are real, that are true, that feel like, yeah, that's a human moment. That could happen to me. That is the best of us, or that is the worst of us, but that is real. It's not somebody who's trying to put on a persona and fake their way through the show with a stupid script that they're following. This is actual real people sorting out their real problems in front of us.
Yeah. I really thought that Matilda was going to lose her mind. And I was very surprised and pleased that she did not. She responded by explaining her position, how she felt, how disappointed she was, and her acceptance of it. Sorry, I just hit my thing. Her acceptance of it, and then fantastic, let's move on. Let's figure out how we're going to maneuver through it. They found a common ground. They found an understanding and are now working on a plan to move forward, which I thought was absolutely lovely.
I thought it was lovely that they showed us a side of autism that I was not aware of, which is what Niles explained, that sometimes when he gets into a difficult situation, he will lie in order to cover up. I think he called it masking.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has to backtrack and obviously admit to that and get to the truth of the matter, which he did, which I thought was wonderful. The other thing that I wanted to note was that this miscommunication that they have, which is really what it was a big miscommunication. She expected to get married and he expected not to get married on this trip, was born out of two things. One was Niles' fear of confrontation, and the other thing was Matilda's fear of possibly being abandoned or losing out on this chance to escape poverty and move to the US. I'm not doubting her love for Niles because I really do feel like she does love him.
Yeah.
And you see that particularly in the resolution of this argument. The way that she was posing her head on his shoulder while they were talking, it totally calmed the situation. It was a de-escalating move. And it's one of those movements that, or gestures that couples do to get in sync with each other, that I think is so intuitive to people who are in love.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that it was just fantastic. I was so pleased with the way that they solved their problems. Of course, not everything is resolved, because she does bring up the fact that even though she has agreed, okay, they won't get married on this trip, and he has agreed that he will do the knock door ceremony while he's there, there is the issue of, culturally speaking, is it going to be acceptable for her family to then say, okay, let's go through with a knock door ceremony, and it's also okay for you not to marry Matilda until several months from now, or perhaps more than a year from now, when you next return to Ghana. Because as she says, typically the knock door ceremony is followed very, very quickly by the marriage itself.
Well, we saw this with Emily and Kobe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. So that has yet to be seen. But otherwise, this was the highlight of last night's episode for me.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. 100%. I thought it was just so refreshing to see something real for once.
Yes, agreed. Let's go to Brian and Ingrid. Brian asks Ingrid if he can meet her parents. So they're having lunch at her house.
Stop it. Sorry.
Oh my God. So of course, Brian's default position is he blames the fact that the dad doesn't show up on the fact that Brian is in a wheelchair. So obviously that means that dad is not going to show up because he has prejudices against disabled people. No, he doesn't.
Even though he's working.
You don't know that. He's working. He has a job. It's probably not the same sort of situation as in the States, where if you have a job, you can take some time off. It's probably a lot more serious than that, where if he takes time off, he's going to get fired or demoted or something.
I thought at first you were snipping back at me, and I'm like, no, hey, the mom said that it was working. But anyway.
Yeah.
Took me a second to catch on.
Why can't Brian just accept that's the truth? This man has to work. Stop bringing your disability into every excuse that you give for why people don't like you or don't want to know you.
It's because he can't accept the fact that he's just legit a piece of shit.
We don't know what Ingrid has said to her parents, or more specifically to her mom, about Brian. We don't know that she hasn't told them Brian used to be a drug dealer, which would be a good enough reason, I think, for any parent to say, nope, don't want to meet him. Thanks. No, thanks.
But I also think it would be valid if, Brian walks in,
rolls in.
Bad choice of words. He rolls in and he gives her he offers her two things: present or a hug. What if she didn't want either?
Yeah.
Now you're already putting her in an uncomfortable position in her own home.
That was very presumptive of him. Yeah. I just felt like the default position for Brian is, if somebody doesn't want to be nice to me or to do exactly what I want them to do with me, it means that they don't like people who have disabilities, which is very black and white thinking, and I object to that categorically.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
I agree.
Yes, some people may be like that, and you're better off not for knowing them, definitely. But most people will be open-minded about wheelchairs, especially people who, like Ingrid's parents, are of an older generation. They are closer to the wheelchair state than anybody else that we know. So why would they object? Why on earth?
Perhaps it's your attitude from the second that you rolled onto their property. But no, it's all about his disability. And he even said this about Ingrid, what, like a episode or two ago?
Yeah.
It's about the wheelchair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the wheelchair. Well, no, maybe
No.
it's because you're a shitty human being.
Yeah, and you've treated her like crap since the minute you arrived in Brazil.
And have been so manipulative.
So mom is very cold towards Brian. Definitely. There's no question. You can't refute that.
I love that. I relish that. This was my second favorite part of this entire episode, next to the whole Niles and Matilda resolution.
I must admit, I did get a little bit of glee from watching her cross her arms and be very, very cold towards Brian and not want to have any part in the lunch, in eating the lunch or sitting down while they had lunch or talking. But I was trying to keep an open mind. Like, she was being pretty cold and distant to everybody.
She was being very rude.
She
obviously I relish that because of how awful he is and how awful we've seen him be, but we don't know how much she knows. Ingrid even said that her parents are very difficult people.
Yes. So we have some context. And we also have the context that during the course of this afternoon, mom doesn't really speak to the cameras. Like, when she's forced to speak to the cameras, she's not even looking. She's looking off to the side. She does not want to be speaking.
She's probably talking directly to a producer because she's like, I'm not looking at this camera.
Of course, but she's not even making eye contact with the person. The voice was coming from there and she's looking over there. So it was clear that mom just did not want to have any part of this. And I kept saying to myself, like, why? What is this? And then she explains. And I'm like, aha, this makes a whole lot of sense now. Because mom says she doesn't want her daughter dating anybody from outside of the country because that would mean her daughter would leave. And she wants her daughter to stay to look after them. Makes total sense. Portuguese families tend to stay together. If this is their only daughter, of course they'd want her to stay close. And when you hear about how the dad would have reacted if he knew that Ingrid and Brian were then going to go to this other place for another holiday, which apparently is going to happen next, that the dad would have said, no, you can't go. Like, he still has that kind of a hold over his daughter, even though she's a grown adult with 2 children. When you hear all of those little pieces get put into the puzzle, it's like, okay, well, this is clearly shaping up to be a situation where it's a traditional family. The culture is that everybody sticks together in the same country. As the parents get older, the eldest child, and I don't know if she has siblings or not, but it seems to be her, is the one who looks after the parents, and they don't want her to go. So it's got nothing to do with the wheelchair or even the drug charges or even any of that crap that we heard from Brian from his past. It's just got to do with the fact that mom and dad want Ingrid to stay in Brazil.
Brian is constantly and going to continuously lean on the fact that it's all because of his disability. It's the wheelchair.
Absolutely.
They're intolerant to people with disabilities, and or it has something to do with nationality.
Oh yeah, I can totally see this being his excuse, even if he goes back to the US and they've broken up and, you know, he's explaining to his friends, it was horrible. Everybody was against me and they hated the wheelchair. Even Ingrid and their parents, they were so rude to me because I was in a wheelchair, and they all have prejudices against people who have disabilities. So of course I couldn't remain in that relationship. It was impossible.
Excellent.
Yeah, do that. All right. Yes. So the last thing that I wrote down was mom and dad don't want Ingrid to leave Brazil. So stick that in your judgmental crack pipe and smoke it, Brian.
And my last note is her mom doesn't want to eat with you because you're creepy AF.
Yeah. He is creepy to everybody, even the kid.
Love that we were kind of on the same page with her last guy.
Okay, let's go to the next creep.
Okay, the last one from this episode.
Yeah. Loren and Faith. Wasn't a lot, but it was probably just about as creepy from my perspective. Loren does not deserve this beautiful paradise that he's in. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. The water, the mountains, the trees.
I think Faith deserves, I don't think, I know that Faith deserves all of this. I feel like she's tainting her own memories by bringing him. So I'm hoping that when she does get rid of him, she's able to either A, do the eternal sunshine or eternal
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Thank you, that one. Him out of her brain so she can remember these things without him, or she just does it again.
So when you
she
say
deserves all of these things,
she deserves these good things, she doesn't deserve Loren in this beautiful paradise.
yes, thank you.
Okay, good, because I was wondering there for a second if she deserved Loren, because she does not. No.
I'm glad that you know exactly what I was talking about. Thank you.
The foot massage. Okay. First of all, slightly creepy to start with. Just slightly, I felt. But then Faith starts to talk about her family history, the death of her father, the poverty that her family lived in, how she had to move to Manila when she was 13 years old and start working all on her own. And the camera cuts to Loren, who is still massaging her feet and who has this creepy ass smile on his face, like he's getting off on rubbing her feet. And I just wanted to die. Stop touching her feet, for God's sake. Stop touching her feet. Focus on her and stop smiling. This is a serious moment.
An assault on video.
How does he not know that when somebody is sharing this kind of serious, sad, somber information, that you stop smiling, you focus on them, and you definitely stop rubbing their feet and just empathize. Be compassionate.
Why would he do that?
He has no ability to do that. He has none. He smiles and he's rubbing her feet, and well, anyway, I don't know what's going on in his pants, but it's not good. And he's like says these platitudes to her, like, "Oh, you're a better person for it, and you're who you are now. Great." No. You think she wanted her father to die? You think she wanted to leave home at 13 to go live in a big city all by herself so she could earn money to send back to her mom? No. Empathy is what's required in this moment. And listening, not creepage.
Not anything that he's putting out there.
Go away, Loren. And he continues with all of these promises, these empty promises, words, no action. Of course, trying to get Faith to believe in him, to look up to him as her savior. He's going to change her whole life and make everything better, when we've not seen any evidence that he can do that. In fact, anything to the contrary seems more likely to be true. She has no way of knowing if he's going to fall through.
I love the fact that he just keeps coming out with, we'll do this together, we'll get this done, even though he comes with negative pockets, even more negative because of his health issues, and then even more negative pockets because of his sexual proclivities that have impacted his. Anyway, this guy's he's so gross, and
he's Loren a leech.
No, Faith deserves so much better. He 100% is a leech, but he keeps trying to love bomb her with like, ooh, look what I can do for you. And in the last episode, let me buy your parents this $2,000 luxury ant house, and
made of cardboard boxes, apparently. Yeah, it's so scary to watch Faith listen to all of this stuff. And how can it not affect her? Because of course she's thinking about, how can I bring myself to a better life as well as my family? And maybe this person can help me. Maybe this is the ticket out.
And how much am I willing to give up in order to make this happen?
Yeah. So in a way, like, she's caught in a trap, because she really wants to get out of poverty, or to bring her family out of poverty. She really wants a better life for herself. And an American seems to be the answer to this, but this is the wrong person. I mean, you were saying he's negative pockets. Well, he's not just negative pockets. He's going to be a drain on her because he has no
He's a
income.
siphon.
He can't earn any money there, as far as we know. And this stupid bogus dream of being some kind of computer guy working remotely from the Philippines, but in America, earning American money, is just that. It's a pipe dream. He doesn't have any qualifications. So how is any of this remotely true?
It's not. It's just the pipe dream that he wants to sell her.
Yeah. And then he compounds that by saying, oh, what are you going to tell your family? Are you going to tell them what I
Are you going
did?
to tell them what I did? Which part?
Yeah. Would that be the cheating part? Would that be the STD part? Would that be the lying part? Would that be the homelessness part? Would that be the joblessness part? Which part? He so desperately wants to control the narrative, wants to control what kind of information goes out there. He's in damage control mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way he says, well, you know, just say whatever you need to say because you got to do what you do. And that's fine. No, I bet you behind the scenes, he's manipulating her. Yep. He's doing what he does best, which is to try to convince her to say only the things that he wants for her to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know at this point if she's going to be introducing him as her boyfriend. She said initially that she wouldn't. It would just be a friend, but I don't know. I have a feeling that she's going to be saying, this is my boyfriend. Because why would she be imparting information about him cheating and having an STD if it's just her friend?
Because maybe he was her boyfriend, but now he's got this STD and he's been cheating and he wants to be non-monogamous, and then she drops everything on her family while he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not gonna happen that way.
All right. Are we done?
Yes.
Okay, so we didn't get Sunny and Vaya this week, and next week, Vanya is going to ask Bozo if there's any chemistry between them. What a question. Vaya wants to talk with Sunny, who has not been responding to her at all. Niles goes to visit Matilda's family for a very important negotiation. Adnan and Tigerlily are reunited in Turkey. Yay. Baby making. Chidi and Chicken Lady have a blowout that shows more of how incredibly awful she truly is. Surprise, surprise.
Glorious.
And now our bonus content for The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 17, beginning with Corona and Inky. Oh my god.
Also very short.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
What I wanted to say about the Penis Museum is this. They have waffles. And 2, you can also have a martini while you're having your waffle. Sounds very civilized to me. Let's go.
All right. I said I would go to said penis museum. What is with her with the waffles? And yes, I'll have martini.
Brilliant. Such intuitive.
Glad we're on the same page, man.
Such wonderful remarks. Wow. That was really, really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're both on the same page. Okay. So this is a lie. Corona is not about to give up her dream of being a midwife. Shocker. Let alone for a fake boyfriend. For example, have we ever seen these two kiss or be affectionate with each other? The answer is no. Then there's all this baloney about the marriage. She says she thinks that Inky wants to get married. Okay, is she actually talking about the same guy that we've been seeing on the show? Because Inky does not want to get married.
He has said from the very get-go that it's not even on his radar.
Yeah, he does not. It's nowhere near marriage talk. They've only been together for 6 months. The setup.
6 months.
I know.
Calm down.
I know. The setup that they bring up for the cheat, all of that is garbage.
Yep.
These two were not even an item before she went on to the show. Like, they had been together. They were not in a monogamous relationship whatsoever. Then they decided that they wanted to go on the show together, and so they pretend to be together. So even if the girlfriends did see Inky at a bar talking to women, who bloody cares? First of all, it's probably innocuous. And secondly, they weren't even together, so who cares?
Okay, great.
Yep, moving on. Does Inky have the right to be offended by Corona accusing him of potentially cheating at the bar.
I think Inky has more of a right to be offended by the fact that she talks about his theoretical broken penis on national television than anything else.
That was awful. That was just awful. Yeah.
As someone who has dated a man who has had his penis as legitimately as medically possible, that's not something that they just go out and tell everyone. Like, it's
private.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was very sensationalistic of her to bring it up. I really didn't think it was appropriate.
Oh, but they're not having sex. So she's like, we're not having sex because his penis is broken.
No shit.
Perhaps you're not having sex because you're not together.
Thank you.
And now you're just exposing his medical history for what? To make you look better? Why? That doesn't make you look better.
Nope. This was
awful. I don't
awful.
believe a word that comes out of this woman's mouth.
No, I don't either. I
think this story is so incredibly contrived.
Mm-hmm.
And then what bothered me the most is when she says to Inky, when she brings up, oh, my friends saw you out with people. She says, there are eyes on you even when I'm not here.
Oh, creepy. Not necessary.
Not creepy at all. That's just a partner from overseas. Just keeping an eye on you. No, that's so gross. Why would you even say such a thing? But it's only because she's sensationalizing everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's just such like a me person. All eyes on me.
Yep. And just like we saw with her fake trying to get into the midwifery program in Iceland, like, of course, if you were actually doing that, you would have researched it before to know that A, the courses are not offered in English, B, the courses have already started, and C, you really should be going to the school that you've already been accepted in, which is a very prestigious program, and there's only a few people. We see that she hasn't done her research into what the culture is actually like in Iceland, where people don't really get married that quickly. Inky mentions a few of his friends that have been together for years and years and years, but they have not gotten married. It's very much like that here in Canada. The Quebecois, they don't get married. They just live together. Mm-hmm. If they get married, it's like 20 years down the line. So you would think that if that is your true potential, if that's your true intention, you would actually kind of do some research into that and figure out what the culture is actually like in this country that you are supposedly moving to for the rest of your life, and figure out people don't really get married here in Iceland that often. So maybe I've barked up the wrong tree. None of it is real, people. Let's go on to something real. Let's talk about some real people. Yeah, let's do it. That
was a very loud laugh.
James and Tata comment next.
And smells awful.
Okay, so I've never experienced this, but I've heard that it is like rotting humid flesh.
Yeah. And I had a neighbor give it to me in a Ziploc, and my roommate and I looked at each other like, okay, we're going to put this in the fridge. Okay, great. And then he looks at me, he's like, are you going to eat it? I'm like, hells yeah, I'm going to eat it. And then every time I opened the fridge and then reached for the bag, the smell, like through like a legit like freezer bag, I could smell it. And I'm like, oh, no, it's awful. Awful.
I'll take your word for it. I don't need to smell it.
Anyway, it went moldy before I could eat it because every time I tried it, I'm like, not today. Not today. Maybe later. And then it went moldy. But, I mean, good on James for trying it.
Yeah.
He did his best.
He did. The first time in the whole of this season that he's done his best.
The dude did better than I did, although mine wasn't, like, cracked fresh in front of me. But, God, no.
Yeah. Okay. So,
anyway.
First thing off I wanted to talk about is, okay, their wedding is tomorrow. Really? You're still going ahead with it?
But why? Do we know what kind of chicken you're having?
We haven't decided on the chicken. No. That comes later. And secondly, in this whole first opening scene, Tata looks like she's half asleep or on tranquilizers or something because her eyes are half closed and she's talking very slowly.
It's because she's been crying all night.
No, because she cries when they're all talking about her sister while eating the durian.
I was joking. I
My
don't
God.
know.
Okay, there's been so much crying from her that I don't know anymore if you're kidding or not.
She's worse than Jasmine.
Yes. She is
Yeah,
worse than Jasmine. For crying, she wins the crown, definitely.
Oh, so dramatic. I mean,
She's
at least she's not like scream crying, but it's just like
is it
constantly
drama?
dealing with a 13-year-old hormonal teen girl.
I see it as fragility, not drama. I don't think she's doing this to try to put on airs. I think she is just teetering on the edge between happiness and extreme sadness at any given moment. And so just the tiniest little thing will set her off the edge to crying. Just
I don't know. I don't know.
saying.
I shake my head, but that's because I don't know. Not because I disagree.
Okay. So we're talking about the sister, which is why she starts crying. This baloney with the sister I did not need. There's lots of resentment from the sister. Her name is Angel, towards James. And so they're getting together, Tata, James, and Angel. It's very awkward. James does not know how to handle this situation at all. And Angel says, I don't trust James. Well, excuse me, but you don't need to trust him. He's your sister's husband already. It makes no difference. So why are we even talking about this? And isn't it your sister's decision? Can't you respect the fact that she's made this choice as her husband, even if you don't like him or whatever?
Well, no, it's not her choice because James has taken her away from Angel.
I don't
Tata
believe
has absolutely zero ability to make any decisions on her own. Everything is James's fault.
See, I felt that Angel was codependent with Metalia, and that's why she's filtering all of this through the lens of James stealing her away, James taking her away. James is the bad guy.
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sorry if that came out differently, but that's what it.
Okay. No, so
Seems so strange that she's, attacking James, even though her sister is completely capable of making her own decisions. No, she depended on her sister for literally everything, and then her sister left, and now she's like, who am I? Where am I? Why did you leave me? And yet she's still, like, when Tata comes back, she still lives 13 hours away. So, like, who left who?
Yes.
That's my summary of the whole thing. I think it's all just so... Thank you. Very...
Oh my God. I think we use
it. Easy for you to leave me.
We use the word stupid a lot with this couple.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they both really need to grow up. And I find it very curious that James is a certified elevator mechanic because I work in a very tall high-rise. And I need to trust the people that are working on those buildings. And I don't know if I would trust that man.
Okay.
Can we move on? Because I don't want to think about that. I have to go into the office.
Let's go. Let's go. Sean and Joanne.
Lord.
Sean is about to meet Joanne's lovely mother for the very first time online, of course, a little chat. And again, they cannot answer the obvious and glaring question of where they all plan to live.
Hang on. Before that, like as he's walking into it, he says, whatever, we'll just deal with it. And I feel like that encapsulates their entire relationship.
Yes. Good note. Whatever, exactly. She asks, the mom asks, what can you offer my daughter? And he hems and haws. He doesn't have an answer. And then he says, true love. That's it. That's all. House, security, roof over her head.
Emotional support.
Love for the sons. Irish, beautiful experiences. Bread. Anything. Soda bread. Come on.
Cheese.
Boy. Okay.
Beer?
They've been to beer. Guinness. They have had years to figure this out. And they still don't know.
Nothing. And we've seen no development at all
No.
throughout the last couple episodes since they dropped that bomb. We've seen no development. At no point have they come together and been like, okay, let's have a tea. Let's discuss what we're going to do because we obviously effed up.
Yeah. No. And I want to mention this because I've seen some posts from Irish people saying that their storyline that they got married on a whim is baloney. Because in Ireland, you have to 30 days before you actually do the marriage ceremony, present all of your paperwork and do your due diligence with whatever county you're getting married in. And so it's a long process. And she would not have been there for 30 days straight. She would have probably done a couple of trips to make this marriage thing happen. So it did not happen all of a sudden on a spur of the moment, like a Las Vegas wedding. We just decided and we went to the courthouse and then we went to the casino and got married. This is something that took them a great deal of time and forethought. And yet, they still did not know where they were going to live, did not discuss how they were going to deal with the situation with the children or any of that. They just said, let's take our time and get married slowly. Because it was slowly.
Let's get married slowly. The exact opposite of Married at First Sight, am I right?
Oh, yes. And yet, let's not discuss anything potentially life-changing after the fact.
You know, my life revolves around my children.
Oh, yes. My children always come first.
Sorry. This is me talking as Joanne because I don't have children. My children always come first. They are my life. But they absolutely 100% did not factor into this decision and these ongoing decisions that I have made with my now husband over the past 2 years. And now ongoing.
Irresponsible.
What?
Yeah, I know. Don't do that, please. No. Okay. We have one final couple to discuss, which
keep it even shorter.
Josh and Lily. Yes, very brief. Jared. Lovely Jared is still playing the part of the peacemaker.
They're still communicating through Jared.
He is telling to Lily Josh's message, which is what she wants to hear. But is it really from Josh or is it from Jared? We don't know.
Is it a translation issue?
And important fact, we learn that Josh and Lily have not had sex in 7 months.
And we also learn that Lily tells her daughter everything.
Yes. Lily tells her daughter way too much.
And to the point where her daughter is asking her about her sex life and commenting on her hymen.
Completely appropriate. Totally acceptable in all cultures. Yes.
Ew.
Of course, ew. Of course. Gross. Yuck. Parentification. Totally inappropriate discussions. You should not.
Thank you. Yes, we talked about this last week. It was parentification. That was the word that we were looking for.
You do not.
God, and emotional abuse.
Yeah. You do not put the responsibility of your sexual relationships on your children.
Or your relationships in any capacity. I mean, you can talk about it in passing. Be like, yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. We hit a snag. We haven't had sex in 7 months to the point where your child is like, your hymen's going to grow back, mom.
Or he had an online affair with a woman in Vietnam and then he pretended that she was dead, but she wasn't really dead. Unnecessary details that do not need to be shared with your children. Okay, so I wondered, how can Lily still think that her marriage is worth saving? Because they cannot communicate, they're not having sex, they blame each other constantly, and neither one of them is happy.
And she's relying on Jared for all communications, which makes me think that she may or may not be leading into maybe a one-sided emotional affair with Jared.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Because Jared understands her.
Yeah.
So she would I can see her just, divulging all the things to Jared and then having that connection with her. And Jared's just like, how the hell am I going to tell my brother this? Because he's so good with his words. He's so gentle. He's so kind. Honestly, I can't say enough about this man. He just seems so
evolved.
Yeah. And I can see him taking anything that Lily says, and then his immediate thought, as opposed to internalizing it and being like, oh, maybe she's into me, is going to be like, how am I going to tell my brother this?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to relay this information?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's aware enough to be able to pick up on subtle hints if Lily were to drop them. But I don't think that she would drop anything that would be easily identifiable as her pursuing him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I really don't believe that we're being led down that particular path. I don't think
so either.
I love that
think so.
Jared is intervening and being the peacemaker and trying really hard to help his brother and his sister-in-law to repair their marriage. I don't think he has a hope in hell of actually making that a reality. I really believe that what we're learning from Vivian is showing us that the relationship is irreparably damaged. The fact that Josh doesn't even help around the house, like he's refusing to even do that, despite the fact that he has no career, no job, no income. He's not even going to help, like make a meal.
Is he refusing, or is Lily telling him not to? And she's telling her child that he's not helping.
Yeah, that could be an added layer that we haven't been witness to. I'm just taking it at face value when both Lily and Vivian say he's not helping around the house.
I feel like it's missing words and missing context.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah, it could be. All right. So we did not see Dempsey and Statler this week. And we did not see Shekinah and Sarper this week, but also no thank you.
We don't care.
No, that's it. So any final comments?
No, I can't say whether or not I'm looking forward to next week. I don't know. What about you?
I have nothing further to say. Please end it soon.
Okay.
Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. And if you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.